Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, with Cutter Gauthier leaving, there have been a lot of concerns amongst Flyers fans saying that the rebuild has taken a step backwards, and I think that that's a pretty valid point to make. That's a pretty valid concern to have. Because when you look at, like, before Gauthier was traded, the mentality, like, let's go back to last Friday when he won the World Junior MVP. Everything was great. It pretty much looked like, our top prospects were Matvey Michkov and Cutter Gauthier, and that was going to be our hope. And we hope that Gauthier was going to come to this roster at the end of the NCAA season and would play some games for us. If not, he'd go back and he would play in 24-25 with us. However, then he got traded to the Anaheim Ducks, and now there have been a lot of people that have said, oh, the rebuild may have been stalled a little bit here with this move. And I get why people think that, but I kind of disagree a little bit. I don't think the rebuild's been stalled. Not really in my opinion, because I don't think the rebuild's really going to be over until Michkov comes over. I don't really think it's going to be over till then. So, he gets traded to Anaheim. Jamie Drysdale comes over. Drysdale, really solid young defenseman. Obviously, there's been injuries when you look at that side of things, but when he's healthy, he can be pretty good. He can log up a lot of minutes on that blue line, and he's going to relieve a lot of players on that defense for the Philadelphia Flyers. And maybe there's some guys in our lineup that currently may not be there by the trade deadline, and maybe this makes Briere maybe this forces Briere's hand to make another move. Maybe this forces him to move a guy like Sean Walker. Who knows what Briere's going to do in this situation? But getting Drysdale really does help us. It really does as a whole. And then you look at some of the other guys too that are currently in the system as prospects. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, it'd be good to have some more prospects added to the system, and it'd be good to fill that prospect pool up more. But I think we'll be okay. I think we're going to be okay. So, of course, we got Bobby Brink, Tyson Forsta, and Egor Samula. Are guys who are playing currently up on the NHL roster right now. They were prospect last year. I believe I made certain segments on them in my prospect pool overview in the offseason. But yeah, those guys are obviously now in the NHL, and they're no longer prospects. However, I believe I have about 12 prospects here from the Flyers organization that I'm going to go over here today. So we're just going to get straight into it. Starting off with the biggest one and the big one. It's Matvey Michkov. We're going to be saying Michkov's name in probably prospect previews for the next 2 to 3 years, I would imagine. I'm going to be saying it a lot in prospect pool overviews for sure. But Michkov, 34 games played, 13 goals, 16 assists for 29 points. Michkov's done well. I understand it's less than a point per game, and it's not the usual stats that we see from him, but he also got diagnosed with pneumonia. So, that also plays a factor there, too. But still, 29 points in 34 games played in the KHL is pretty good numbers, in my opinion. I think that definitely he has a lot of high upside for the Flyers, and there's really not much else to say. What I was really hoping to see, and what I was saying until they got traded, was that I'm going to love when Cutter Gauthier is passing pucks over to Matvey Michkov. And yeah, I would love for it. I honestly may make another video just on Cutter Gauthier solely. That might be what I do next in a few days. Because we have been seeing a lot come out on social media about Cutter and about all these things that, he's been saying about the Flyers and all that. And I do want to make a video that goes in depth with that. So you may see another Flyers video in the next couple of days. You might not. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, Michkov playing really well in HK Sochi of the KHL. So I'm hoping that'll keep going, and obviously he'll be there for the next few years. So it's gonna be exciting. We'll find out. Next up, then we got Denver Barkey in the OHL. Denver Barkey, 36 games played, 20 goals, 36 assists for 56 points. A very solid player there. A pick that's kind of forgotten about a little bit. Playing very well with London in the OHL. He's obviously got Oliver Bonk there with him too, who we'll get into in a second. But yeah, obviously Barkey's playing very well in the OHL. In the NCAA, you have Massimo Rizzo. Rizzo could be a really solid pick, a really solid steal for us, because we acquired him in the offseason for pretty much nothing. We really didn't give up that much for him. Rizzo, 20 games played, 7 goals, 25 assists, 32 points. I believe at one point, I'm not sure if he is now, but he was leading the NCAA in points. So he's one of the better players, and we have him on our system, and that's great to see. That is great to see from a guy like Rizzo, and definitely for a player that we didn't get for much, to see him leading the NCAA in scoring, I think is very solid, and it shows that he's going to have some pretty solid upside. And I look at him as a player that kind of reminds me a lot of Bobby Brink. Plays for Denver, obviously. That connection's there. He's looked at a lot as a later pick, and Brink was also a later pick. So I'm really liking Rizzo there too, and he has good odds. Next up, then you have Alex Ciernik of the Hockey Allsvenskan League. Ciernik was a 4th-round pick this year. 19 games played, 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points. Playing very well in a men's-related Allsvenskan League. The hope is eventually he will come over, but he obviously just got signed, so maybe he will next year and play some time down below in the AHL with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. That's probably what I expect Ciernik's development path to be. Then you got some guys who are currently in the American Hockey League. I have 5 of the 12 here are in the American Hockey League. Excuse me. First off, you got Elliot Desnoyers, 29 games played, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points. And I'm gonna say this: those numbers may not look great, like 12 points in 29 games played really isn't that awesome. But when you look at the overall, AHL and how rookies come in and play in the American Hockey League, sometimes it takes you a little bit to get adjusted. And that's kind of what we see here in Desnoyers. It's taking him a little bit to get adjusted. And, 12 points in 29 games played is really not that bad for a rookie player. So I like that a lot for him there. And hopefully the development path will continue. He's also played games this year, or he played like 4 last year, I believe. So he's been playing a little bit. Then I got Alexis Gendron to lap out the forward prospects. 17 games played, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. Gendron playing well. Obviously, those aren't like awesome numbers there, but still, for a rookie, they're not too bad there from the AHL. I believe he went back to the Q, though. I think he's going back to the Q, at least for a little bit. I'm not entirely too sure if that's true, but I did see something about that. Moving on to the defensive prospects now. I don't have a whole lot. I only have 3 here for you. I may have forgotten Ronnie Attard. I'm not entirely too sure if he's still a prospect, but he has played up some games this year for the Flyers, so I didn't really put him in here. But regardless, you have Oliver Bonk. Bonk, 30 games played, 7 goals, 26 assists for 33 points. Bonk played for Team Canada this year. Honestly, one of my favorite defensemen, has a great last name. I'm really looking forward to him coming over. And definitely, it looks like he wants to play. He signed an ELC, so it looks like he wants to play with the Philadelphia Flyers. That's pretty awesome to see there. But yeah, I mean, if you don't want to play for us, then you don't have to play for us. But I don't really appreciate you ghosting the organization. I don't really appreciate that whatsoever. But yeah, Bonk, I really like him a lot there. He's a really solid defenseman, and I hope that it will transition over to the NHL. Other guys down below in the American Hockey League, you got Helge Grans. Grans we acquired in the Ivan Provorov deal. Grans, 21 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. More of a defensive defenseman there, so not really putting up offensive numbers. But yeah, overall, just let him develop, let him keep going. Maybe he'll get some time up at the NHL eventually, but just give him some time to develop up there. And then finally, Emil Andre. Andre did play up this year a little bit. He played 24 games, had 3 goals, 13 assists, 16 points in the American Hockey League with the Phantoms. The hope is that he'll keep developing down there. Played very well in Sweden with HV71. I remember that was one of the bigger things that I covered in the offseason for the prospect pool overviews. But yeah, Emil Andre looking awesome. The hope is that eventually he will come up to the NHL, and it looks like with the way he's playing, he probably will get some full-time spots and maybe some more games, either before the end of this season or next season. Moving on to the goalies then. There actually are some goalie prospects to look at. I didn't put in Fedotov. I didn't put in Urson because Urson's played a lot, and Fedotov doesn't look like he even wants to be a Flyer anymore, which is fun. So anyways, we got Alexei Kolosov. He's looked like he's being a really highly touted goalie for the Flyers. One of the higher-ranked goalie prospects out there. 12 and 15 with a 2.49 goals against average and a .902 save percentage. Those are great numbers for Kolosov in the KHL for Dynamo Minsk. I really hope that he could come over. All of a sudden we have a pretty solid goalie goalie system all of a sudden. Like Erson's played well, Hart's obviously great. There's guys down below that have played solid too. Like it's kind of shocking to see that all of a sudden we have solid goalies. It's pretty weird. But yeah, Kolosov, I wish nothing but the best for him, and the hope is he will come over eventually. But obviously, goalies, again, they take a while to develop, so he may not be here for a while. And then finally, Carson Bjarnason. You got 14-8-3 record with a 3.20 goals against average and a .902 save percentage. The Phantoms haven't been that great this year. They've been kind of meh. So yeah, it's good to see Bjarnason not putting up terrible stats, some pretty solid numbers there, and hopefully that will continue for him. Finally, the final thing I wanted to look at in this video is their 2024 draft picks. They have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 1 third-round pick, 1 fourth-round pick, 1 fifth-round pick, 2 sixth, and 1 seventh. So I want to say that even though like those are our draft picks, we could get more. Like we really could get more. We could move guys at this year's deadline. Like Sean Walker is the biggest one that I look at. We could get a first-round pick for him, is what people are saying. Is very possible. So, it's not over yet. And understandably so. I know Gauthier saying he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia, and, he gets traded to Anaheim, doesn't even talk to the Flyers organization. If you don't want to be a Flyer, then you don't have to be a Flyer. Then you can get out of here. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say to that. And the hope is that all these other players that I just mentioned, they want to be Flyers, and if they want to be Flyers, and then I'm fully welcoming to it. If not, at least treat us with some respect, because I don't think it's right for Gauthier to just not talk to the Flyers at all. At least speak your concern of why you don't want to be a Flyer, and maybe we can fix the relationship and help you out, or we can just get you out of there. And we did, and we don't appreciate him really just not talking to us. That's just unprofessional in my book. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it. But regardless, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.